What is up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Destination the Show. This is episode 111, Minnesota Twins Prospect Mailbag. My name is Jamie Cameron, joined by the soon-to-be in Fort Myers, Jeremy Nygaard. Hello, good sir. How are you? Feeling
I'm
good,
good.
I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm good. It's spring break week, so it's about to be the vacation. So it'll be landing in Fort Myers on Thursday morning, and the fireworks for the game Friday, they've been canceled because it's been unseasonably dry in Lee County, apparently. But it's supposed to not be so dry because there's rain in the forecast for like the first 4 days we're there. But it's supposed to be like 90, and we'll find some fun stuff to do. So yeah, it's
That's
exciting.
awesome.
It's been 4 years since we went to spring training. The last trip to Florida we took 2 years ago. We stayed in Pensacola and didn't make it down to
Different part of
where there was baseball, but it was a good time. So I'll be there for from Thursday to Thursday, and then you'll be joining shortly after.
tagging you out, yeah. So let me ask you this, just as a purely hypothetical, as someone who hasn't been to spring training in several years, if you're shuffling around on the backfields, which I feel like you will be, who are you most interested in catching a glimpse of, if you could?
Like, I'd like to see Quentin Young take batting practice.
Sure.
And I absolutely want to see Jason Reitz, because you know what I mean. Dason Hill will be fun. Merrick Houston, right? I mean, like, there'll be guys, but like the novelty of a 6'11" light pole throwing a baseball is fun, and like Quentin Young, just to see what he'll do. I mean, those are like those would be two of the fun ones for me. Like, what's Eduardo Tait gonna do on the backfield that's gonna be like super fun to watch, right? And obviously Jason Reitz will stick out, and Quentin Young, like, they'll be easy to identify. Sure. There's just so many bodies, and they're all wearing the standard jerseys that just have a large number on it with no names. So unless you know exactly who you're looking for, it's just sometimes it's harder to find those guys. So
yeah,
those will be two guys that stick out. I'm trying to think, because my brother's bringing his young kids, so he was asking who he should maybe get cards of to get autographed. So I sent him a bunch of names. My middle son broke his hand playing basketball last week, so I told him he could get his. He's like, nobody's signing my cast. I'm like, you just get signed in spring training. Like, come back and have a bunch of autographs. But I don't think he wants to do that either. So yeah, that'll be kind of my thing. I don't know how many mornings we'll make it, because if there's games, I was thinking I'll probably text John. I know John was down there, just to try to get a better idea of what like the schedules are, because we'd go in the morning and we'd bum around, and then by noon, everything's cleared out. So weather dependent and kind of game dependent, and it's just cool. I mean, it's just baseball happening all over the place. Lots of guys, and just like when we rolled in the last time we were there, it was like I stood and watched pitcher fielding practice for like 35 minutes. And it's like, well, why are you watching that? And it's like, why wouldn't you? Yeah, it's fun to watch. So it'll be cool. I know personally less of the guys that play now, just because I'm not as involved. So that'll be not as cool, but still looking forward to it. It'll be a good time.
Get some video, man. Send me some video. Make me jealous. Jason Reitz, who allegedly has been up to 99 in live BP in spring training, so that's fun. Jason Hill just broke 100 miles an hour for the first time. James L. Wenger broke 100 miles an hour in live BP. Lots of velocity is what you're going to see. Love to hear.
Well, and that's what we've talked about, right? That's kind of been what the Twins do, and what everybody in baseball does.
Yep. Okay, let's quickly do some housekeeping here. We'll jump straight into questions because people came through big time. So ways that you can support the show: you can like and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform of choice. That is a real help to us. You can find all of our stuff on YouTube. Handlers at Destination the Show. If you want to send us questions, and so many people did, thank you so much. this week. You can find us on Twitter at DTS_pod1 if you can find anything on Twitter. Blue Sky is probably an easier option. At Destination the Show is the handle there, and then email destinationtheshow@gmail.com. Before we dig into all the questions, did you perchance notice that Walker Jenkins has already been diagnosed with a grade 1 hamstring strain? Just had to get it out the way quickly, you know?
I was so glad that I was sitting down when I read it, because I just don't know if I could have handled the shock and surprise.
I know.
So Jenkins hurt early in camp. Lee with back issues soon to happen. Rodriguez, thumb or ankle.
No. Not doing that. You're not minority reporting the injuries before they happen. Absolutely
multiple not. Starting pitchers go down. We've had that. Yeah. I mean, this is just par for the course. And Buxton's healthy. He even caught a ball while being interviewed today. So that was fun.
Okay. Let's jump into questions. I got to tell you, I probably should have done some more prep for some of these than I have. However, let's dig in. Actually, you know what, Jeremy? I'm going to put you on the spot first, and I'm going to change the order here just a little bit. So, Tom Froming with the first question via Blue Sky, who we've had on the show. Should get him back on the show for sure. He says, I like Jeremy's comps. So we need to throw this question out right away because he's paying you a compliment right off the bat. I don't know why you're setting me up for failure like that, Tom. I like Jeremy's comps, even the cautionary tales. I've got one for him. Connor Prelip as Jordan Balazovic. It's a profile comp. They're obviously very different pitchers, but Prelip's AA performance reminds me a lot of Balazovic's in 2021. Great stuff, but just not translating in games like you would think. What say you, Jeremy, to first of all, before you answer that does tell me that you are now like renowned for pessimistic comps, which I do feel like fits you as a human quite well. So congrats on that. Okay. What do you think of that Prelip Balazovic?
So Balazovic was a international guy, repeated rookie leagues at 17 and 18.
Yep.
Made his, well, it wasn't even full season debut. I mean, debuts at 19, misses 20, but still had a number of innings in. And then I think it was, so pre-20 is when he broke into the top 100 and then misses that entire year. Yep. Comes back in 21, AA, throws 100 innings, strikes out 100. And then in 2022 is 0-7 with a +7 ERA through 2 innings, and almost had a 2.0 whip. I feel like the comparison here is not necessarily fair. Prelip barely throws. Like, all you wanted was for the guy to be healthy for a little bit, and like maybe the results weren't top 100 worthy, but at the same time didn't give up a lot of hard contact. Like your thing talking about throwing too many strikes, like I feel like there's always can't miss pitching prospects that miss, right? Mm-hmm. And so to cherry pick anybody that, I mean, we could have taken, was it Fernando Romero? Another top 100 pitching prospect that didn't hit, right? That's just, it's more common than it is uncommon. And so I think that there's great stuff. He just has not had an opportunity to refine it enough. Balazovic threw 536 innings in the minors.
Yep.
Right. And he's still bouncing around. He's in, I think, Detroit system. But 536 minor league innings, pitched 57 innings in the foreign league. Like he's thrown 600 innings and Prelip's at what, 150? So yep. Let's give him an opportunity. Obviously the elbow thing is for real, but nastier stuff. And so I'm gonna give it a little bit before we but the reality is, yeah, he could bust like any other pitcher at any time.
Here's my thing for Prelip to like stamp your point about how little he's thrown. He's almost moved too fast to allow him to make any adjustments to any type of adversity that he's faced, right? Like last year he threw how many innings, mostly at AA and AAA. If he was like a fully healthy arm, there's a decent argument for giving him a longer leash in AA and then keeping him in AAA for a significant amount of time this year. So I just think like he almost hasn't had the leeway or the runway to make adjustments yet. And we've talked quite a bit about, well, one, he's added 2 pitches now between sinker and curveball. And 2, we've talked a lot about how like you just have to learn how, when, and where to miss the zone. I still feel like he's going to be living there pretty much all of 2026. I don't expect Connor Prelip to have an incredible dominant season at AAA. I expect there to be really good starts and really bad starts, and maybe him to get a taste of the majors in the bullpen at the end of the year. But if people are listening to this expecting Connor Prelip to put up like a 2.3 ERA in AAA in 2026, I think you'll be disappointed. If you look at the majority of like pitchers in the Twin system who have eventually made the jump, like Joe Ryan, Jose Barrios, whoever, all of them has started out with struggles when making that hop from the mid minors to the high minors to the majors. And I would expect the same for Prelip.
Right. He's thrown 112 minor league innings, 30 of them prior to last year. And he's right now, what's BA have him in their top 100? So
yeah, like back at like 90s, I think. Yeah,
94. But I mean, that's I feel like that tells you what you need to know about the potential that he has, and I think the other thing too is when you've been so unhealthy that you rush him because you want to use those bullets at the highest level.
Yep.
So get him to where he can knock on the door and do it, and I think with Lopez out, there's an opportunity for him to maybe be a starter in the major leagues this year.
Yep. Okay, let's move on. Next question comes from Cody Christie, Twins Daily writer. He says, which Twins rookie has the most WAR in 2026? Feel like there's a few favorites here. So what you got, Jeremy? Or you want me to go first?
I mean, I'm trying to. I feel like who would barely qualify, right? I think Roden would still qualify. He'll get opportunities. Emmanuel Rodriguez should certainly debut this year if healthy. Pitching wise, Mick Abel is Mick Abel still a rookie, or is that past?
I think he is by like it's either a handful of innings or a handful of days.
So he's got the service time passed to no longer qualify, but he did not pass the innings limit to no longer qualify. So it's really just, dealer's choice on whether you still consider him a prospect or not. I mean, none of us had him on our list, but he still technically hasn't surpassed the innings max, like minimum he needs to qualify as a rookie.
Is he eligible to win Rookie of the Year?
Ooh, I don't know that off the top of my head. I've got to check the service time.
We should find that out.
I mean, if he's eligible to win Rookie of the Year, I would say him, because I feel like he's going to get a ton of innings, either as a fifth starter or a swingman or a reliever. And I'm just not confident enough that Roden or Rodriguez will get enough opportunities. Is there any rookie in the bullpen? I don't think so.
No way. Can we talk about Abel for a second though? I do like this does bring this up, and you hit the two, Jeremy, that I was thinking of too. I mean, I was going to go for Erod just because, obviously, like personal favorite bias, and I'm always going to pull the trigger on a position player as opposed to a pitcher in general.
Right.
Although, like, hilarious to think that I'm going to assume that Erod will play every day. But Abel has been insane in spring training, which I know we love to talk about how much that doesn't matter. And in particular, I just want to like allude to the stuff. These are pulling stuff plus numbers from Thomas Nasico, TJ Stats on Twitter or Blue Sky. We're now talking about a 6-pitch mix for Abel: 4-seamer, slider, curveball, sinker, sweeper, changeup, with stuff plus with 100 being average. 109, 105, 104, 96, 115, and 105. I mean, we're talking about like 5 well above average pitches and a sinker, which he really doesn't use that much. And if you look at his kind of movement spread, it's the thing of beauty. And he's pitched 5-6 innings so far this spring, struck out a gazillion guys, made a lot of really good major league hitters look silly. Now, that may not translate into the majors, but him and Erod, I think you'd have to say, are the kind of prospect type guys who have had the most promising springs so far on the pitching side and the hitting side. So I feel like those 2 guys.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think Mick Abel's going to have games where he'll throw like 7 shutout innings and strike out 11. And he's going to follow that up with a inning and 2/3 start where he walks 5 guys and gives up 7 earned runs like that. Yep. And that's, when he's, what is he right now? 24. He's not young, but like he's just not super experienced. And I think that's what you can live with in a year where you're looking at probably losing 90 games.
So sad, dude. All right. This next question on Blue Sky from Baseball and Cats. Don't have a name. All right. This is kind of a complicated one. I've reread this a couple of times. I'm not 100% sure if I've grabbed my mind around it. Assuming spring training 2027 happens this time next year, which group of players is likely to be perceived as having the higher future major league value? The 2026 opening day Saints outfield or the 2026 opening day Colonels rotation? For the sake of the question, let's just say Jenkins is healthy by opening day. So we should probably start by trying to figure out who we'd wrap up into that question. So your Saints opening day outfield, I think we can loosely assume, has Walker Jenkins in it.
Yep.
Emmanuel Rodriguez in it.
Yep.
And who am I missing?
Well, I mean, you could say Gabby Gonzalez.
Gabby Gonzalez for sure.
You could say Kyler Fedko.
Yep.
You could maybe say Henry Mendez.
Hope not, but yes.
We could. But like Ryan Kreidler's not in that mix. Probably Roden shouldn't be in that mix. But I think it's Jenkins, Erod, Gabby Gonzalez. Right?
Okay.
That's probably those 3.
Okay, sounds good. And then for the Cedar Rapids Colonels rotation for 2026, we can take a stab at that because we have touched on it a little bit. I think you're looking at, in no particular order, but the top 3 guys is, dude, so exciting to me. Newly triple-digit throwing lefty Dason Hill. 101 mile per hour fastball Charlie Soto. Adrian Bajorquez, who has touched 99 in live BP this spring.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're probably looking at a returner in Cole Peschel, who might be a name that folks aren't super familiar with. He was one of the best college starters in the last couple of draft classes, who was really looking good in both Fort Myers and Cedar Rapids, then went down with an injury partway through last season. And then I feel like there's a number of guys that could fill that 5th spot. I mean, these are both really impressive groups. I think there's a pretty obvious answer here in terms of projecting who would have the higher future major league value, right? Are we in agreement here that it's the Saints outfield?
Yes. I was gonna say, as long as you think it's the Saints outfield. Yeah. But for the reasons that you said earlier, like you value the position players more because they're playing every day. And for the reasons that I said earlier, where the pitching guy might be the next big thing and then all of a sudden isn't. Like think of what was the biggest like young pitching name in baseball a year ago?
Like Paul Skeet. No, that's an extra year on. I don't know. Bubba
Roki
Champ.
Suzuki.
Oh, who's maybe not even a reliever anymore.
Like it went from the very top to the very bottom, right?
Yep.
You go back a handful of years, like one of the names that I remember, Forrest Whitley, was going to be. I mean, he was like,
yeah, he's pitching in Japan now, dude.
Because he was awful. Like he was going to be the next big thing. And I mean, yeah, Paul Skeens, unbelievable, right? And you get those types of guys, but like even Scooble was not good for a while.
Totally.
And then he was. So I would always value the hitters more, and I think that's why in the draft the Twins tend to go the hitter route when they draft early. I mean, Paul Skeens would have been super, super fun to have an opportunity, but those guys come around once every nevers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just it's one of those deals. So I would say for sure the Saints outfield, and even if Jenkins isn't healthy, I agree.
I agree because you also have to factor in proximity, right? Like we've talked about the volatility of pitchers, but you're also talking about 3 to 4 guys who are 1 step away versus 3 to 4 guys that are 3 steps away. And every one of those guys is 3 steps away. The additional step creates the like, what if this guy fails? What if this guy gets hurt, et cetera, et cetera. So that is a super fun hypothetical, but it's got to be Saints healthy.
But yeah, even think about it wouldn't have been last year, but 2 years ago, the pitchers that the Colonels had, and what's happened to them, right? Corey Lewis.
I mean, but that was what was remarkable about that, right? Is that they clustered together for an entire minor league season, Fort Myers up to Cedar Rapids, and there was no kind of like stratification of them at all. What happened after that, where CJ Culpepper's been hurt, Corey Lewis has been bad and maybe doesn't throw hard enough, Zebby Matthews looks like he has a good chance to be a good major league starter, and Andrew Mars, on the cusp as well. That's what we might have expected to happen earlier. I think it was extremely weird that they stuck together and were all literally like equally successful for an entire minor league season. Like we certainly haven't seen it since. Next question comes from Eric Jeremy, who says, who do you think people are overestimating in the Twins system? Is there a prospect who you are fading or have some kind of concerns about or wonderings about their performance compared to everybody else?
So the Twins top 30 prospects at MLB.com just dropped.
Oh, did it? Was it today?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
I'm pretty sure it just dropped.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's up for 2026.
Nice.
So Jenkins 1, Culpepper 2, Taiit 3, Erod 4. Right. I don't know that there's any argument of those 4. Maybe the order, but whatever. Prelip 5, Hill 6, Gabby Gonzalez 7, which I think there's people that aren't sure, right, about what type of player he'll be. Merrick Houston 8, we haven't seen anything there. I mean, is he being overestimated because he was a first-round pick?
Inconclusive.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything for us to believe one way or the other. Soto 9, so overestimating if your basis of estimation is Theo's rankings.
Yep, it's overrated.
Keep the bid going week after week, no matter what. I love it.
Rojas, Quick, Mendez, Morris, Quentin Young. To me, there's just not anybody because there's reasons to have all these guys on here, right? If Billy Amick was a lot higher, he's 24. That's a fair spot to have Billy Amick because of what he's done in the past. John Klein is 20. I think we maybe mentioned him in our top 20.
Yeah.
What's the ceiling? Marco Raya's 18. Ryan Gallagher's 19. Raya had a really bad outing. Was it Sunday?
Yeah. Ironically, when he started the game, which is funny because he's reliever now, so you can make a joke there about.
So I think there's always. I mean, you can always maybe find. The Kalai Rosario being listed on the top 30 to me maybe an overestimation, but that's picking nits, right? There's really not anybody to me. I think if Erod doesn't stay healthy and doesn't debut, and people want to consider him a top 100 prospect at the end of the year, that might be overestimating.
Totally,
right? He's got to do something.
I'll go Tait. I'll go Tait. At what do they have him 3? And here's the interesting thing, right? We have now locked in to that trade as Tite was the best prospect acquired in that trade, and Abel was the supplementary piece, and There is a pretty strong possibility that Mick Abel provides way more major league value. In fact, it's probably a pretty high probability that Mick Abel provides way more major league value than Eduardo Tite does from that trade with the Phillies. He's the one I would go with, just because if you go down the skill sets that you want to check boxes on for him, you can put a question mark by a lot of them. Does he have an approach that's going to work and not be exposed? I don't know about that. Does he have enough defensive skills to remain a catcher? Don't know about that. If the answer to that one is no, then I feel much less excited about the rest of the skills. So I think
while we're back on Abel real quick, he is not eligible for Rookie of the Year this year.
Bummer. Okay. So I'm going with Erod as my answer to the previous question for the record.
Yeah, and I think that's fair.
Tite is my overestimated.
So here's my defense to that. On this list, there are 4 teenagers listed.
Mm-hmm.
Tite is 19. He's listed at 3. Quentin Young, who's done absolutely nothing as a pro, is 14. He's
but that's a massive difference, though, between 3 and 14, though. You know what I'm saying?
But Tite's actually done something as a professional baseball player.
He's put up a 100 WRC plus in high A. I don't care about that.
He's reached that level as a 19-year-old.
Sure.
Right? And you know, the Twins, when they were going to trade Duran, the thing was they were looking for 2 top 100 prospects. Definitely one. Abel was not on the list, but widely considered a top 100-ish prospect or whatever. And so the reality is you get 2 top 100 prospects, one neither necessarily a sure thing, but one closer to the bigs and one more lottery ticket. And I think that's fair. The other 2 teenagers, 17-year-old Santiago Castellanos.
He must be like what, 25, 26?
25, and then Bruin Agbayani, number 30. And so that's the thing. Like we talk about 3 19-year-olds or 2 17-year-olds or 1 17-year-old and 2 19-year-olds that are like back half of the top 30, and then potentially the highest rated catcher in all of baseball, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen high rated catchers drop, but we've also seen high rated catchers come in and kind of take the league over. So there's certainly the ability for him to not be as good as maybe he is listed right now, but he's 19, and it's easier to go down at this point from where he is than it is to go up.
Totally. Look, I will be just like you with Erod. I will be so delighted to be just laughed at for my Eduardo Tite. I have doubts about you, / you're not going to make it takes. So please, I will be so, like, you can gloat every week. I will love it. I will absolutely eat it if he's great. And I'll be.
Well, it doesn't matter how great he is, because I'm going to have to deal with your endless Aiden Miller texts. Every time the guy I need to ask someone, dude. I've been putting it off because I don't want to get an answer where someone's like, actually, that's just like a nonsense rumor. I want to just like, I want to leave it. Yeah, I want to believe it, because he's now a top 10 prospect in baseball, and that's funny. Gotta say it. Okay, moving on. Next question. This one's from Josiah. He says, which hitting and pitching prospects are you tipping to have the best performance this season? So you can pick a guy, any level, doesn't have to be a top guy, one hitter, one pitcher, who your kind of Jeremy's picks to click for 2026. You only get one of each. Well, I'm not gonna take like the low hanging fruit here, because I think there is some lower hanging fruit.
I am.
For hitter, I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to take Kadeem Jow.
Ooh. Okay. Love that.
Because I think he's gonna blow up. And pitcher wise, I'm gonna go with Riley Quick, who maybe is a little lower hanging fruit because he's gonna start lower. But I think he's gonna put up the most impressive numbers early. The other name I considered was Rojas at AAA, but I think that might be a little bit a steeper hill to climb.
Yeah. Yep. I like those picks a lot. I gotta switch it up. I think Quick would have been my pick for pitcher too. I do think Quick is the obvious one because he's gonna start at Fort Myers, SEC arm, touch 99, 100, whatever. He should make light work of Fort Myers and even do well in Cedar Rapids, right? Like there's a reality in which Riley Quick ends 2026 at AA. Not saying that's going to happen, but there is that's a future possibility. I'm going to go Jason Reitz just because this is my Flat Stanley obsession prospect. It's so fun. Jason Reitz has added velo. I think he's also going to look really polished and really good. Same story as Quick, and I suppose every pitcher ever. Enough strikes, stay healthy. He'll do really well in the lower levels. So that's who I'll go with for pitcher. And he really hasn't featured on any lists, which is interesting because he was one of the higher draft picks. So the Twins are clearly pretty bullish on him coming out of the 2026 draft. For hitter, I will go with, again, I'm trying to go down board here just to keep it fun and not say Gabby Gonzalez or whoever. I'm going to go Enrique Jimenez just because the story was so great last year. I think he was such a fun surprise of how ridiculously good he was. I think we talked about him when we did the prospect list, Jeremy. He hadn't played at single A before. I think he had only played in the DSL.
Well, I told the story about how you actually were angry.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Enrique Jimenez got traded because Chris Paddock had so much value, and you were like, "Who is this guy? He's a non-prospect." Right?
You're definitely that story is getting bigger and bigger and more exaggerated every week that you tell it. But in a year or so, you're gonna say how I flipped a bunch of tables when I found out that Chris Paddock got traded.
You may have. You may have.
Right. Yeah, I was super fond of Chris Paddock for sure. Okay. A question from Lou Hennessy. Can we get a cool nickname for Kendry Rojas going? This is my crowdsourcing effort. Lou Hennessy's Kendry Rojas nickname suggestions. Jeremy, you can judge which one of these you like the best. Kenny Red, okay. Red Wedding, or Red Ken Redemption.
Did you come up with these, or did he come up with these?
No. Lou's smart and funny and creative. He came up with all three of those from a desire to get a good Kendry Rojas nickname going. So which one is your favorite? And I might add, if anyone's listening to this and you have Kendry Rojas nickname suggestions, send them in. We'll put a social media post out and we'll share some more good ones next week.
I just, they all have red in them. What? Why?
He's from Cuba.
I assume it's.
I mean, that's just why I'm throwing it out there.
I assume it's the feminine Roja being red in Spanish.
That's mainly it. Yeah,
it's what Lou is going for.
Okay. I'm not as well versed in Spanish apparently.
No.
Okay.
I like Red Ken Redemption. Have you ever played Red Dead Revolver?
Red Dead Revolver?
No.
Red Dead
Redemption. Yes. Thank you. Have you ever played that game, Jeremy? Are you a gamer? No, you don't strike me as a gamer. It's what we're learning.
You know the one game that I play, bro.
college football.
That's it. And I went through a stage where I played a lot of Grand Theft Auto. But other than that, not a gamer. Okay. I did solve Super Mario Galaxy when my kids were young because they like to watch that. Otherwise, not even a little bit.
Red Dead
Um,
Redemption is amazing. Both versions, 2 especially, more so than 1.
yeah, I'm not sure any of those are going to stick. Um,
Wow, brutal.
I don't know,
Okay,
but
consider
yeah,
this.
we need to keep thinking.
Yeah, consider this an official ask to the listeners of Destination the Show. If you have Kendry Rojas related nicknames, send them our way. Okay, Isaac. This is a fun question. Last prospect question. Then we're gonna finish up with a draft question here. Because it's time. Isaac asks, most important. Who is the most important Twins prospect to the team's future? Not named Walker Jenkins, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Kalen Culpepper, and whoever it is we draft at 3 in 2026. That's an awesome question. What do you think?
Yeah. So I feel like this list is missing an obvious name, one that we've spoke about already. Because the reality is, if Walker Jenkins doesn't pan out, there are other outfielders. If Kalen Culpepper doesn't pan out, like there's the Merrick Houstons of the world, so there's these international guys that they've signed. I do think that Culpepper's important because he is the nearest and the best potential shortstop. Erod as well. Like there are other outfielders, lesser outfielders, but guys that will be able to do it. Eduardo Tait is the best catching prospect in a system that now has a few. Ryan Jeffers is not going to play forever, right? The guys in the major league level are getting to the age where it's like, who's the next guy going to be? I talked about Kadeem Zhao. Is that going to be like, is he going to be a full-time catcher? That the jury's definitely out on that. Enrique Jimenez, great story. Would love for him to be a big league catcher. He is all of 20 years old.
Yep.
So really I there's a slim to zero chance that the guy that's getting drafted number 3 is going to be the next catcher in the Twin system, right? I mean, fair to say. The future of the catching position lays not squarely, but heavily on Eduardo Tait's shoulders.
Okay.
And the only way that they get somebody else is if they make a move, like make a trade, and they traded the best closer in baseball, arguably, to get this catcher. So I would say he is by far the most important prospect of the team's future.
Dang. That's a compelling case. Well, I have to give a couple of different options, I suppose. Okay, let me give 2 names. Okay, one guy I would bring up is Merrick Houston. Now, I am also a noted Merrick Houston doubter a little bit because I think we've talked a lot about like is there any extra base impact? How does that translate? All of that good stuff. But there's not a lot of doubting the defensive chops, the value he's going to add from playing really good defensive shortstop and running, and potentially like a above average to plus hit tool there. So the ceiling for Merrick Houston is an everyday plus defensive shortstop who steals 25 bases, hits 275, and like 10 to 12 home runs, right? So almost like a budget Jacob Wilson.
Sure.
That is but that is like a, what's funny? It's
just how you packaged it.
That's like a 2.5 to 3 WAR player year in, year out at the most valuable defensive position. You can make an argument for catcher and center field. So Merrick Houston would be one. Like if he hits as a not like hits. If he hits his potential as a prospect, he's up there. Then I think you could also throw in the mix any of the pitchers that has playoff starter upside. I think you could. Yes. I think you could throw Riley Quick in there. I think you could throw Dyson Hill in there. I think given a healthy 2026, you could throw Charlie Soto in there.
Yep.
Had to. If one of those guys becomes like a number 2 caliber guy, that's really, really significant. So I feel like that's a solid pool.
Yeah, and that, but for me, that's kind of when you can name those three, and like I feel like Connor Prelip could be added into that mix.
Yeah.
Could Kendry Rojas be added in that mix?
Maybe.
But when you have 5 guys where it's like if one of them pans out, great. That does, like the importance of any single one of them now is kind of minimized, right?
True.
And
That's
like
true.
and like Merrick Houston, his presence is great if he does all the things that you say, but Kalen Culpepper is the guy that we want to be the shortstop.
Totally.
Right?
I mean, I think the other counter Merrick Houston argument is
He's the first
there are many possible worlds in which the Twins are taking a shortstop at 3 in 2026, right? So if you take Justin LeBron there, we can have a conversation about if Walker Jenkins is graduated, but he is at worst your number 2 prospect. Or Grady Emerson slotting into the same spot. That's immediately the best shortstop prospect, like as an overall player in the system, not necessarily as like a defensive guy.
Right.
Okay.
So wait. Before we go draft, you're going to ignore my mailbag question?
Oh, hell yeah. I hated your mailbag question. It was classic Jeremy. Like all you had to do was retweet. Okay, so let me just, if you didn't follow this on Twitter, let me paint a picture of what this fool did. I put out a call for mailbag questions. A helpful co-host and podcast partner in crime would simply retweet and like it and say, yes, please do ask us mailbag questions. Instead, Jeremy says something along the lines of, give me comps for these gazillion Twins prospects because I know Jamie loves comps. Hilarious. Hilarious. Well done. Give yourself a pat on the back for coming up with such
I tried to pick guys that were really didn't have good comps either.
Let me tell you, just so you know, while we're recording, I didn't think about that for a single second of my
I got
day.
a ton of engagements and likes. So you didn't have to think hard. Like I think I put Reitz on there, right?
I'm not doing it. I mean, Reitz is Ober. Sure. Done.
Okay. And then did I put Merrick Houston on there? And you gave me budget Jacob Wilson already. And then I put the foreign guy.
Oh yeah. Okay. Come on. That's ridiculous. You put there Emmanuel Merlo, was it, or one of the other guys?
The one, is it Juan Diego?
You're so annoying.
Holman? Is it Holman?
Holman, that like half German, half Panamanian kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a comp on him. Just
I got nothing. Absolutely. Pick any international prospect who didn't make it in the Twin system in the last 5 years, and that's his comp. Because
wow, that's low. You could have won like budget German Max Kepler infielder / Jorge Blanco something, right?
Oh no.
All right, well, we addressed this question. Okay, now let's move on.
Okay, Corey asks, dumb question, probably because I know the answer is to always just draft the best available player. So this is a question about AJ Gracia, who we will just deliver his numbers before we ask this question. And if folks aren't familiar, AJ Gracia is a, like, with the exception of Keith Law, thought of as a top 5 to top 10-ish 2026 draft pick. Played at Duke last season, transferred to the University of Virginia. Through 11 games, he is hitting 385, 537, 923, a 164 WRC plus, 6 home runs, walking 20% of the time, striking out 9% of the time. If you want a production comp for AJ Gracia, it's Nick Kurtz-like production. It's just like a ton of on-base value, like a lot of power, not like Kurtzian power, but kind of on the way there. And he's just kind of a monster. If you want to ding him, it's like less of the exciting supplemental tools, right? So he's not like a super exciting runner. He'll probably move off. Yeah, like a good arm, fine, but he's probably going to move off center field at some point, like to a corner spot. So you're really relying on the hit power combo coming through. And we know that Twins fans might fairly feel a little bit wary of prospects like that because you've got guys like Trevor Larnach who were supposed to be that, who kind of didn't pan out. So Corey says, is there any reason to give pause on taking AJ Gracia at 3 for this org today, given how top heavy the mid and upper minors are with left-handed hitting outfielders? So you've got like Walker Jenkins, Erod, just like in general, a lot of
All of them.
outfield prospects. Yeah, just all the guys. Does that factor into your thinking 1 iota, Jeremy, ahead of July?
I mean, if he continues to do what he's doing, Cholowski goes 1, right? Like,
Sure. Oh my God,
Cholowski goes 1, and it doesn't matter what position he plays or who's drafting. You draft Rock Cholowski 1, and you move on. And at this point, like, Justin LeBron has done everything to at least keep that from becoming a huge gap. Like, he's
been
done
really
enough
good.
where it's like, man, is he even going to have an opportunity to fall to the Twins at 3?
Totally.
And then you get the opportunity to take like the high school shortstop out of the deal. Like, that seems
Emerson.
like a pretty good consolation prize where
Totally.
I would
People
take
will be annoyed about that, though. You know, people are going to be pissed about that because people are going to say, I want LeBron. Like, that's right. Because of how public college baseball is and the data and all of the things. And LeBron, by the way, is up to 10 stolen bases in his first 12 games, hasn't been caught, had 17 all of last year. Like, this is like the total package in terms of physical tools. He also has 7 home runs, 154 WRC plus. So not Cholowski, but his performance has been like almost impossibly good.
But you know how I, and maybe you don't, but I always feel like, and I think Twins fans feel like when they draft 5, it's in a 4-man draft. When they draft 7, it's in a 6-man draft. It's really, to me, this feels like a 3-person draft right now.
I think that we should entertain the possibility of a 4th.
Sure, that's fine.
No, I have a specific name that I want to throw your way as the possibility. And it's funny because I agree with you 100%. We talked about the low likelihood of the Twins potentially taking a college arm. Cam Flukie is now down for like 12 weeks, I want to say, which is a huge bummer. I do think we should entertain the possibility of Jackson Flora as an option for the Twins. Just really good start to the season. What's he at? 18 innings so far, ERA of 1, a FIP of 292. Fastball's been up over 100. He has like freaky pitch shapes also. I'm just throwing him as a possibility. Definitely, like, the probability is less. I would still bet bat, but I do think if Flora continues his performance, he would be a name we'd have to pay attention to as well. So,
okay,
that's what I got. You're trying to suspend your snarky comments that I'm.
I just don't, and I'm willing to be wrong. I just don't see the Twins drafting a pitcher in the top 5, unless someone has a Skeensian rise.
Yeah.
It's just, to
totally.
me, it's not. And what, like, the skill sets that they want, and getting guys that plug into the middle of the field and then they move around.
Yep.
Does Emerson stick at shortstop? I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
The Bobby Witt comparison is a real thing.
Yeah.
If you're drafting, if you're starting baseball over, like, if there's like dispersal draft and you start over, like, Bobby Witt's a top 3 or 4 pick.
3 for sure.
In the entire league. And that's the type of prospect that Grady Emerson is. And I think he might be the 3rd best prospect in the draft. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I feel like that it's going to be these top three just keep rising, and it's a long time away. It's 4 months away, and
It
guys
is.
get hurt.
And it is, and there's a number of caveats, right? Of like, you would only take Flora if you think he's going to be like an ace type guy. There's
Mhm.
obviously inherently more risk there because you're taking a pitcher and they're more breakable. I agree with you 100% that the overwhelming likelihood is still a bat. And no matter what transpires between now and July, if you're ending up with one of Justin LeBron or Grady Emerson, you should be absolutely thrilled with that outcome.
Top 25 prospect in baseball to start next year.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, last question. So to answer your question directly, Corey, no, I would not. I would not have any pause on taking Gracia if that's the guy the Twins believe is their guy. I think that all of the other guys that we've talked about, the other two bats, Emerson and LeBron, both have a leg up on Gracia significantly. One, because they both have better supplementary tools, and two, because they are both highly likely to stick at shortstop, and Gracia, I don't believe, is likely to stick at center field. And so those aren't like tiebreakers. Those are like big things you factor in. And so if you're taking Gracia at 3 over LeBron or Emerson, you have to be so convicted on his offensive profile. Like, you need Nick Kurtz type production.
And be part of a bigger plan.
Yeah, for sure.
At this point, I think, anyway.
Last but not least, yeah.
Hold on. But between now and July, what are Walker Jenkins and Erod's prospect status? Like, are they healthy? Are they playing in the majors? Are they on the injured list in St. Paul? Like, that changes the trajectory of the entire outfield.
It does,
right? And that's being the second and third center fielder behind a guy that's played one season of more than 100 games, like in the last 7 seasons. So again, Gracia's not a center fielder, so it doesn't really change that. But I do think that there's a lot of, I don't know what the right word is, with the flux of the outfielders and the injuries. So, but I do think too, like, you take an athlete at shortstop and you could play, like, those guys can move from the infield to the outfield.
Totally.
A lot quicker than you take a guy in the outfield and say, okay, now you're going to play third base, right? That just doesn't make sense. So, if Grady Emerson is drafted, or, if Kalen Culpepper doesn't stick at shortstop, he bounces over to third. Could someone go to the outfield? Like, there's just that's the way the defensive spectrum works. And corner outfield is pretty low on that list.
Yep.
Okay, last question.
Agreed. Last question from Kyle. He says, Twins have 4 top 80 picks. Who are some guys outside of the top 30 we should be paying attention to? He said, I know this is an exercise in futility. I just want to have some guys to follow that will be fun to follow during the amateur season. So I'll give you the quick and dirty college list now. And if you ask that question again in like a week, I'll give you the prep version. A couple of guys for you to consider. Chase Brunson, an outfielder at TCU, plays center field for them. Just a really good hit power combo. Got a chance to stick there as a pro. Another outfielder, Logan Hughes, out of Texas Tech, more of a power bat, had like 99th percentile average exit velocity in 2025, 141 WRC plus last season. Aiden Robbins is an outfielder for Texas who transferred from Seton Hall, who has been hitting absolute missiles in some of those early season tournaments they have down in Texas. I think he had a home run at 116 miles an hour in whatever the Astros stadium is called. He's someone who's going to be rising up boards. If there's poor performance, I would say Caden Sorrell, who's an outfielder for Texas A&M, but I think he's more of a guy who's going to go in the 20 to 30 range. If you want a couple of arms to pay attention to just for fun, Joey Volchko is a transfer who went to Georgia, so he's with Wes Johnson, former Twins pitching coach. Maybe the nastiest stuff, or like up there for top 2 or 3, like nastiest stuff on the college side. He had a lot of problems throwing strikes last season that he seems to have corrected. But like prototypical frame, like 6'5", 220 type guy. Tegan Coons is a Friday night starter for Tennessee. The story there is really just like he was a pretty well-known prep prospect in 2023. It's like a plus fastball, and everything else is kind of coming along, but he's looked good in his first few starts. And then Gabe Gackle is another right-handed pitcher out of Arkansas that always produces good arms, has one of the best changeups in the class. He would be someone else I pay attention to. So any of those guys on the college side, and we'll do a list on the prep side in a week.
Can I just throw some prep names at you that stick out to me because they're fun?
Yeah, of course.
And this does not necessarily have to be Twins related, but Jim Tomey's got a kid, top 50 prospect, who's an infielder, second base, third base, Illinois kid. So like the Midwest connection, that's a real thing. I'm old enough to remember Jaworski Lane as a Texas A&M running back. And now his kid is an outfielder in Texas, 17-year-old, which fits the profile of what the Twins like to do.
Totally.
And then there's 2 other 17-year-old preps from the state of Georgia, which the Twins like to do that too. Joseph Contreras is a pitcher from Georgia, and then a little further down the list, Keon Johnson is a shortstop, prep shortstop, and those are kind of the demographics. I think the other thing that we didn't really hit on is, and you mentioned this, like the Twins will draft a prep pitcher in the top 80 picks. Like it's a thing. So you just got to find the guy you like, and also find the Luke Keeschel that you like.
There you go.
Because you're a big Luke Keeschel fan before the Twins drafted him. So you'll come up with these names, and then other people will take what you write and then say it out loud. And then we'll talk about it again, at draft time.
Thanks for putting me in a bad mood at the end of the show. All right, that'll do us for today. So Jeremy's going to be away next week. We're going to try and record something. The schedule is a little bit TBD because there's a lot of travel going on in the group at the moment. We will try and put something together. Thank you guys so much for supporting us and checking out the show. Thanks so much for sending in the questions. This was really fun. We will be back in a week or so with another one, and we're going to dig in some draft chat in a little bit more depth in the near future. Until then, enjoy spring training and turn your Twins notifications off. Take it easy.